Good morning, biology students. This is the last video for our evolution chapter. So hopefully you guys are watching these videos. I feel it's a great way, or probably the best way, to get information to you guys and make sure everybody is on the same page. So regarding being on the same page, I don't know, a couple days ago, Sunday or Monday, I began entering some grades with this distance learning, and here's some stats. Within 2 hours of starting to enter grades, I had 13 kids submit late work, or 13 assignments submitted late, and 2 or 3 emails from people regarding late work and questions about that. Just be mindful that you guys should be keeping track of where you're at and what you've turned in. And I know that's sometimes difficult with the naming of assignments and things like that. But here's my view when I log into Google Classroom. Okay. And I look at our grades. And I've taken the names off here, but these are some sophomore kids. But you'll notice, like for a quiz, I've got some scores, but then for read and reflect, I have a bunch of missings here. Okay. No matter what the assignment is, make sure to go in and turn in your work. Okay. So if you've done that, notice some of these people have turned ins here. Turned in, and some don't. It's hard for me to go in and look at that and then go, okay, I'm going to grade these if I don't honestly know if all these missing ones are turned in. So, I kind of judge when I should enter those scores based on that. So just try to stay up to date, stay looking. Just understand that if you do turn something in late, you will wait. I will not drop all the things I'm doing and go and correct your missing work. Okay, everything is due Sunday by midnight for each week. Also make sure that if it asks for your name, you're putting your name on there. I've had some work turned in with no names, and at that point, I can't do anything about that. So make sure you put your name on things. If you're at today's Zoom meeting, we can talk further about that. I know there's all kinds of scenarios. All right, so the last section here, evidence of evolution. And there is ample evidence for evolution, but we'll talk through a couple of things from our textbook here. Biogeography. So geography is a study of land and areas. Bio is life. So here we're studying where those organisms live now and where they may have lived in the past or where their ancestors have lived in the past. And two things we see with biogeography. Sometimes we see closely related species that differentiate in slightly different environments. Two very similar animals, maybe one lives at a high elevation, one lives at a low elevation, and they might differ just a little bit. Good example is groundhogs and woodchucks and marmots. They're really kind of the same species, but they live in two different physical environments, one in mountains, high elevations, and one at sea level. We also see distant related species develop similarities because of those environments. So sometimes the environment tends to shape something that may look similar, but yet they may not be very related at all. And we'll get some more of this in taxonomy starting next week, taxonomy starting next week, classification. All right, the Earth's age, evolution does take a long time. Now, a long time for our perspective is not the same as a biogeographical perspective. So we can date rocks using radioactive dating. And our best guess right now is the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. So plenty of time for evolution to occur. I've seen analogies where they say if you took the whole history of the Earth and represented it with an hour of time, human history, basically everything that you've ever learned in history class about humans, would occupy like 1/100th of a second in that hour, the last 100th of a second. So It's sometimes hard for us to comprehend these age things. All right, recent fossil finds. You guys saw the video on the whales, and hopefully that was informative. If you haven't seen that, you should see it. So go check it out. Dinosaurs and birds are another recent finding. And if you guys look here, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about where birds fit, but here's the common ancestor of crocodiles, dinosaurs, and birds. So we see birds down here. We can see the most recent branch is actually shared with a dinosaur, not a lizard, which maybe you thought it was more closely related to lizards, being lizards are currently also found on Earth, but not so. Next time you see a bird outside, and there's plenty of them, migration is underway, watch a bird for a little bit. Their behaviors, their manner of movement. Next time you watch Jurassic Park, think about what you've seen. It's kind of fun. And here's another diagram showing a little bit of the same with a little added detail. We see a cardinal in here. I know it doesn't seem like it fits with all of these things, but based on some of the evidence that we've used, fossil record, DNA, and comparative anatomy, that's where they believe right now is the best fit. You've probably seen this diagram showing bones of the human arm, the humerus, or your upper arm bone, your radius and your ulna, your forearm bones, wrist, and fingers. And notice a similarity here. We have a cat, we have a whale, and we have a bat. What's a common feature among all of these animals? Well, first of all, they're all mammals. And second, we see all of these bones depicted in each living thing. Okay. Now, the shape and the proportion is not the same, but the arrangement is the same. So we call these homologous structures, and there's another prefix that we've been using a lot, homo, same. So same structures, similar structures, structures shared by related species and have been inherited from a common ancestor, such as the front limbs of reptiles and birds. Okay, so here's 4 creatures again. Now we have a reptile, actually, my bad, 6 creatures, but we have a reptile. We have a dolphin, which is a mammal, not a fish, a mammal, a whale. We have a human. We have a horse leg. We have a bird or a chicken wing. Chicken wings. And we have a bat wing. Okay. And notice the similarities there. You can pause the video if you'd like to look at that further, but I think it's pretty interesting to see the arrangement, similarities, differences, proportions, comparisons. If you're interested in animal structure, you can look at this for quite a while. So these are called homologies. And we also have analogous structures. And remember, a common theme in science is if you have an A at the beginning of a word, it tends to mean like an opposite part or something anti to another concept. So we had homologous structures. We also have analogous structures, which have a similar function, but not a structure, and therefore not a genetic or evolutionary relationship. So take a wing of a bee, a wing of a bird. We have an invertebrate here and an insect. We have a mammal, not a mammal, a bird, talking too fast, a vertebrate. Just because they both fly does not necessarily mean they are closely related. Okay? We know bats fly. We know insects fly. We know birds fly. And really, that's the only things that do fly. So this would be homology, similar arrangements of bones, where the feature of a wing itself, in this case, is not indicative of homologies. All right, we also have what's called vestigial structures. And for vestigial structures, you will do some work on this on your own by Sunday. So a vestigial structure is something that is inherited from the ancestors, but have lost much or all of their original function. And so they seem unnecessary, they seem mysterious. One could be a wing on a penguin. A penguin is a bird. They do have a wing, yet they don't fly. And also the hip bones in whales, which you guys saw in the whale video. And we see these here. So here's a whale. Not sure if that's a blue whale or what kind of whale that would be. Maybe a humpback based on the arc. I don't know. But anyway, they have a pelvis or a rear hip bone as well as a femur bone. But notice it's kind of tucked there into the blubber and mass of the whale. Does it do anything for the whale? It doesn't do a walking task like we would think with a pelvis, but it perhaps, muscularly wise, maybe it still has a small function, but it's reminding us of the ancestors of the whale and what they were able to do in terms of walking on land. Penguin, of course, no, they cannot fly. They can use them a little bit, steering in the water and things. Other than that, they look pretty silly with their wings walking around. Humans have vestigial structures too. We have 4. Actually, based on this picture, we have 5. You have gill slits at one time in your life, as did fish, as did reptiles, as do birds. As you're developing, you do actually have gill slits. Okay? But these ones, wisdom teeth. Some of you have had your wisdom teeth out. You know what that's all about, or you've heard what that's all about. Tailbone. I think we all have had experiences with our tailbone. Some have had experiences with their appendix. And most of you are familiar with goosebumps. So on the exit ticket, I'm going to have you research a little bit about these 4, figure out what they are, how they were used in our ancestors, or what we think our ancestors used them for, and then maybe a personal experience that you've had with one of those parts of your anatomy. We can also talk about embryology. Embryology is when we look back at that development. Remember the blastocyst and the fertilization of the egg and the sperm cell, and how you develop as an embryo. So same group of embryonic cells develop in the same order and in similar patterns. Okay, and this goes for many, if not the large majority of developing living things in the animal world. Fish, reptiles, birds, and humans. Okay, if we look at this diagram, shark, lizard, chicken, pig, and human, look at the similarities in appearances, particularly early in the embryonic development. And yes, we get some features that start to differentiate. Okay. I mean, here I think we all can see that that's very lizard or dinosaur looking in appearance. And here we can see a projection in the face, which would be a beak. Okay. Pig starting to get his snout. Humans starting to get our large forehead and cranium. Okay. But the similarities and the same order that occurs in development is evidence for a common ancestor. That's called embryology. So all these things are studied to help us understand the layout of evolutionary history. And congratulations, you are done with chapter 16, evolution. Hopefully see you at the Zoom today. Hopefully we can answer some questions, or at least get a little more comfortable with our distance learning. All right, enjoy it. It's going to be the best weather day of the week this week, or today. All right, see ya.